Thank you so much for staying with us. It's your Tuesday edition of Good Morning Namibia. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure, always a delight. Now, the Ministry of Justice will be hosting a SADC Regional Workshop on enhancing equal access to legal aid in criminal justice systems that's starting today until Thursday. The event will see experts and policymakers from across Southern Africa discuss vital strategies for improving access to justice. Joining us with more details on this workshop are Jane Marie Ongola from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. She's the regional representative, and she's joined alongside Mr. Brownwill, Uirab, who is the Deputy Director for Legal Aid at the Ministry of Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Good morning. It's our
Good
pleasure.
morning.
A pleasure
and good
indeed.
morning to the viewers as well.
Very
And
much
thank you
indeed.
for having us.
Thank you so much for being with us. I think perhaps, of course, a very topical matter, unpacking legal aid in Namibia, a regional workshop. I think perhaps as the ministry, you can just talk to us about the significance of Namibia hosting this workshop here.
Thank you very much. We are absolutely delighted and very excited to be hosting this workshop. In fact, it is the first time that Namibia, more particularly the Ministry of Justice Legal Aid, will be hosting a regional workshop. Yeah. I can go as far as to say that although we are saying it's a regional workshop, it is in fact an international conference. Nice. Because the focus is on SADC countries. Yes. It's a Southern African regional workshop. Yeah. However, we have invited experts from different parts of the world. So we will have representatives from countries such as Brazil, nice. Peru, China, Argentina, and of course officials from UNODC, which are based in Austria. Fantastic. So I would also like to take the opportunity to really thank the UNODC for having chosen Namibia to host this conference. It is truly an honor and privilege if you consider that there were 16 countries from which they could have chosen, yes. But they decided to choose us. I'm sure Ms. Ongola will later maybe explain the reason why and the significance.
In fact, she can do it right now.
Yeah,
Ms. Ongola, good morning.
She has chosen us. Yes. But like I say, it gives us an opportunity really Absolutely. To also showcase the Namibian legal aid model. True. And also to compare our administration processes and our institution with the rest of the participating countries to see where we are, where we can improve, and where we are going.
Where we are going to, very much indeed.
Yes.
Ms. Ongola, very good morning to you once again. Perhaps you can talk to us about how you came about selecting Namibia as the host country for this workshop, just picking up on Mr. Uirab's comments there.
Yeah. Good morning. Picking up from what the director has left. Namibia was an obvious choice to UNODC for several reasons. The director has just mentioned that they have a very good national legal aid scheme. Yes. And obviously they have a lot to share with the world. Yes. So nationally, robust systems. But internationally, Namibia has been posturing very well with regards to legal aid. And I would like to point out two important events and partnerships that contributed to making this choice. Mm-hmm. Firstly, last year during the Crime Commission held in Vienna annually in May 2023, mm-hmm. Namibia, through the Minister of Justice, Her Excellency Dosab, led in the organization of an important side event addressing legal aid, sharing experiences of Namibia, but also learning from the rest of the world. Yes. In Vienna. Subsequently, Namibia was among two other African countries, that's South Africa and Ghana, alongside 45 member states across the globe, yes. who contributed in developing and sponsoring the first ever resolution to the UN General Assembly on access to legal aid. That was also last year. Obviously, looking at that international posture, plus the robust system, what better country?
Obvious.
Yes, thank you.
Very much indeed. And essentially, what critical aspects of legal aid does this workshop look to address here?
I would talk of three essentially. Firstly, addressing the needs and rights of very specific groups. Legal aid can be very blanket, but really, who are we reaching?
Exactly.
Who are the vulnerable? There could be victims, there could be suspects, there could be detainees, but they're not all the same. There could be reasons, factors such as age, location, distance from services,
Exactly, yes.
income, gender, and so on and so forth. So the workshop is going to dig deeper into the vulnerabilities and identify how, A, to reach these vulnerable groups, two, to make sure that these vulnerable groups really do understand their rights and how to access services. But three, that the services are also available for them. So that's one strand that we're going to look at. The second strand we're looking at is in terms of how is legal aid funded, sustainable financing
It's
of
quite
legal
a costly
aid.
exercise.
It
Yes.
is really costly. So how then do we prioritize to make sure that even though it might be a very expensive undertaking, but that these vulnerable groups can indeed access services? So we're hoping that through the interactions from all these 14 countries that we'll address these core issues.
Very exciting stuff. Robust conversations coming, of course, from this workshop. So, Uirab, I think it's important to really understand as well where we are as far as Namibia's legal aid system. We celebrate it. We know that, of course, significant resources are allocated towards legal aid in the country. But help us understand just how well we're doing as a nation here.
Thank you very much. You see, if the legal aid, if you look back a few years where we have started and where we are right now, I think we have made a lot of great positive strides, all to enhance access to justice to the public. Our primary and broader objective always remain to make legal aid more accessible to a bigger portion of our population so that more people can benefit from our systems. Now, what we also intend to do during this regional workshop is to share our journey of how we have developed over the years. If you, for example, look at where we were when we started in 1990, we were based in Windhoek alone. All the legal aid lawyers were only stationed in the capital, and they had to travel the length and breadth of this country to provide our services to those in the remote rural areas and so on. But we realized that this is an impediment to providing access to legal aid to those who really need it the most. So we embarked upon a process of decentralization. And today we are very proud to say that we have legal aid lawyers stationed across the country at each and every magisterial district, of which, under correction, I think there are approximately 32 magistrates courts. And I'm proud to say that we have at least one lawyer at each of these magistrates courts. Of course, at the bigger stations, we have more lawyers that are stationed there. Following the decentralization process, one of the biggest impediments to people obtaining legal aid has always been the means test. If I can just briefly explain what that is. The means test is what determines who qualifies for legal aid in terms of your income. You understand? If you look back just 5 years ago, employed people who earned an income more than 1,500 could not qualify for legal aid. Now we all know how expensive legal costs are. So that was a big obstacle to people who needed legal representation from obtaining legal aid. So 5 years ago, in 2019, we amended the legal aid regulations. And in April 2019, we increased the threshold from 1,500 to 3,500 Namibian dollars, which is a significant step. It's more than 100%. And it enhanced access to legal aid to more people. As times move on, we realize that that is even not sufficient because legal costs continuously kept on increasing. So very recently, in fact in July this year, we again increased the threshold of legal aid from the amount of 3,500 to 7,000, so double the amount,
again, yes.
which means that again we enhanced access to legal aid to more portions of our population. And it does not end there. You know, through networking with fellow legal aid providers, like we will be doing during this workshop, you know, the primary aim is always to learn good practices from participating countries. So from networking in the past, we have learned that information technology can also improve access to justice because it improves the administration part and services we render to our clients. So we looked at our processes and we introduced a case management system in 2022. So all our systems are now fully automated.
Digitized.
Yes, and what this means for the applicants, the public out there, is that all their records, all the applications are now electronically stored. We can provide them information on the applications instantaneously when there are any inquiries on that. And also we have what you call SMS notification, short message services. So during all the steps of the application, the applicants get notification through SMS. If you today apply for legal aid and you submit your form, once your application is captured on our system, you immediately get a notification that informs you that your application has been received and is under consideration.
Fantastic.
Once a decision is taken on your application, let's say it has been approved, you will be informed that your application is approved, and subsequent to that, you will be informed who is the lawyer that we have appointed for you, and also the contact details of your lawyer.
We have certainly made a lot of progress.
Yes.
Yeah, very much indeed. Just unfortunately, we do not have a lot of time. Just in closing, Ms. Ongola, what outcomes do you hope for this work from this workshop, especially on a regional level? Yes.
As a regional and global conference, obviously we are looking to enhancing regional cooperation and developing networks that can support sustainable access to legal aid across SADC countries, considering, as you know, that we have 14 countries, plus enhancing South-South cooperation through the other countries that have been invited, like China, Brazil, and Argentina. So what we're definitely taking out of here is that cooperation. Cooperation.
Very much indeed. Ms. Uirab, your final sentiments this morning?
Yes, thank you. My final sentiments is, if you look at the participants who have been carefully chosen by the UNODC for this conference, you have criminal justice actors from across various sectors. You know, you have officials from ministries of justice, permanent secretaries, legal aid officials, you have government attorney employees, members from the judiciary, national civil societies, academia, and so on. So there's a lot of experts to draw from. You know, globally, I'm sure Ms. Ongola will agree, legal aid providers globally more or less share the same challenges. So what we want to achieve here is that we want to get the good practices from all these participants on how to overcome these challenges. We want to firstly identify the main challenges, and we want to see what good practices other countries have come up with so that we can overcome these obstacles. Successful projects they've embarked on national levels so that we can share those, and then I think we will find a way to move forward. We would also like to build key partnerships so that we can draw from each other's experience going forward.
Very much indeed. Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. All the best, pardon me, with this 3-day workshop. We do hope that you yield the desired results here.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. That was Ms. Jane Marie Ongola. She is the regional representative of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, joined alongside Mr. Brownwill Uirab. He's a deputy director in the Directorate of Legal Aid.